Imagine a world without video games, dolls, or soccer balls. Now journey back in time, more than 20,000 years, and discover how the first humans created the earliest games and toys in history. Have you ever stopped to wonder how the games we know today first emerged? From the dawn of humanity, games and toys were much more than just entertainment. They were a way to learn essential survival skills, strengthen social bonds, and even prepare young people for adult life. Today, we're going to travel through time to explore how these first forms of play emerged and what materials and rules were used. The story of prehistoric play is truly fascinating. Think about it. Our ancient ancestors, despite their harsh living conditions and daily struggle for survival, still made time for games and fun. They understood something fundamental about human nature, that play isn't just a luxury, but a necessity for growth and learning. When archaeologists uncover ancient toys, small figurines carved from bone, primitive dolls made of clay, or early board games etched into stone, they're not just finding playthings, they're discovering windows into how our ancestors thought, learned, and connected with each other. What's particularly remarkable is how many of these ancient games have survived in some form until today. The throwing games that trained prehistoric hunters eventually evolved into sports like javelin and discus. The strategy games played with stones on dirt became the ancestors of chess and backgammon. Even the simple act of a child playing with a carved animal figure connects directly to the action figures and dolls in today's toy stores. If you love history and want to unravel the mysteries of the great ancient civilizations, like this video, subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel and don't miss a single episode. Long before plastic action figures and electronic games, our ancestors created the very first toys from what nature provided. Imagine walking through a prehistoric landscape 15,000 years ago and coming across a child playing with carefully shaped stones or intricately carved animal figurines. The first toys were masterpieces of simplicity and ingenuity, crafted from materials readily available in the environment, stones polished by river currents, bones salvaged from successful hunts, fallen branches transformed by skilled hands, and clay dug from the earth. Archaeological excavations have revealed these treasures across the globe, giving us fascinating glimpses into prehistoric playtime. Small animal figurines, some dating back more than 20,000 years, are among the most remarkable discoveries. These miniature horses, bison, and mammoths weren't merely decorative. They likely served as toys for children, allowing them to act out hunting scenarios and learn about the creatures that sustained their communities. Picture a young child crouched by the fire, moving these tiny figures across the ground, while elders shared hunting stories, creating a powerful educational experience disguised as play. These primitive toys were far more than simple entertainment. They were sophisticated learning tools that helped develop crucial skills children would need as adults. When a child manipulated a carved mammoth figurine, they weren't just playing. They were developing fine motor control that would later help them craft tools and weapons. When they arranged these figures to reenact hunts, they were building cognitive skills, understanding spatial relationships, and learning the behaviors of animals their survival would one day depend on. Here's something truly fascinating. Several ancient game boards have been discovered in burial chambers alongside human remains. In the famous royal cemetery of Ur in Mesopotamia, archaeologists found elaborately decorated game boards placed with the deceased, suggesting these games held deep spiritual significance. This extraordinary practice hints that games weren't just for the living. Perhaps our ancestors believed they would continue playing in the afterlife, or that these strategic pastimes would help navigate the journey after death. This connection between play and spirituality reveals how deeply games were woven into the fabric of prehistoric human experience. The toys of our ancient ancestors tell us a profound story about human nature. Even in harsh survival conditions, with limited resources and constant challenges, people still made time for play. They understood, perhaps instinctively, that play wasn't frivolous. It was essential for teaching children, strengthening community bonds, and perhaps even connecting with something beyond this world. These simple objects of stone, bone, and clay represent one of humanity's most enduring and universal traits: our need to play, learn, and imagine. Imagine standing in a grassy clearing 15,000 years ago. Around you, a group of young men and women are engaged in an intense competition. They're taking turns hurling stones at a distant tree, cheering when someone hits their mark, groaning when they miss. This isn't just idle entertainment, it's serious training disguised as play. Games of skill were absolutely fundamental to prehistoric societies. These weren't just ways to pass the time during long winter nights or between hunts. They were sophisticated training systems developed over generations to teach crucial survival skills. Stone-throwing games were perhaps the most widespread and important. Young hunters would compete to hit specific targets, trees, marked rocks, or even small objects placed at a distance. The rules were simple, but the stakes were high. Those who mastered these games would become the hunters who could bring down prey with a well-aimed stone or spear, feeding their entire community. Imagine children as young as 6 or 7 practicing daily, their accuracy improving with each throw, preparing them for the moment they'd need to contribute to a real hunt. What's fascinating is how these games evolved differently across various prehistoric communities. In coastal regions, archaeologists have found evidence of stone-skipping competitions along ancient shorelines, flat stones arranged near water's edge, seemingly selected for their ideal skipping properties. Meanwhile, in mountainous areas, evidence suggests games involving rolling stones down slopes to hit targets below, an early form of bowling that taught precision, timing, and understanding of how objects move through space. Another remarkably widespread game involved throwing sticks or bones into holes dug in the ground. This proto-bowling wasn't just fun, it taught the precision needed for setting traps, placing spears during hunts, and developing the hand-eye coordination essential for survival. Archaeological digs have uncovered series of small holes arranged in patterns, alongside polished throwing sticks worn smooth from generations of hands. What truly sets these prehistoric games apart is their dual purpose. While modern sports often separate entertainment from practical skills, our ancestors created games that seamlessly blended enjoyment with essential learning. A young girl practicing throwing stones at targets wasn't just playing. She was ensuring she could one day help feed her family. A boy mastering the art of launching a stick precisely into a small hole was simultaneously preparing to set traps that might catch tomorrow's dinner. Evidence from cave paintings and archaeological finds suggests these games often took on ceremonial importance too. In some communities, excelling at these skill games brought status and recognition. Imagine coming-of-age ceremonies where young people demonstrated their mastery of these games before being accepted as adult members of the tribe. The pressure to perform well wasn't just about winning. It could determine your standing in the community. Perhaps most remarkable is how these ancient games have echoed through time to become the sports we know today. The stone-throwing competitions evolved into javelin, discus, and shot put. The stick and hole games developed into various forms of bowling and target sports. Even modern archery competitions carry the DNA of those first prehistoric targeting games. The next time you watch an Olympic athlete compete or see children playing catch in the park, remember, you're witnessing the latest chapter in a story that began thousands of years ago, when our earliest ancestors discovered that preparing for survival could also be play. Did you know that the first board games weren't created by bored medieval nobles or ancient Egyptian pharaohs, but actually emerged in prehistoric times? It's true. While our distant ancestors were busy inventing tools and discovering fire, They were also creating something that would become one of humanity's most enduring pastimes: board games. Archaeologists have uncovered remarkable stone slabs with carefully carved depressions and patterns that were unmistakably game boards. Imagine a group of early humans sitting around a fire at night, moving pebbles or bone pieces across these stone surfaces, deeply engaged in strategic battle. These weren't just simple diversions. They were sophisticated systems of rules and tactics that exercised the same mental muscles needed for hunting strategies and tribal decisions. One of the most fascinating discoveries is the royal game of found in what is now Iraq. Though not quite prehistoric, dating back about 4,500 years, it represents one of the earliest complete board games we've discovered. The board features an intricate path of squares, with some marked with special symbols that affected gameplay. Players would roll dice made from animal bones and move their pieces accordingly, trying to get all their pieces off the board before their opponent. What's truly remarkable is that we actually know how to play this ancient game. Thanks to a clay tablet discovered by archaeologists that contained the rules, modern players can enjoy the exact same strategic challenges that entertained people over 4 millennia ago. Think about that. The same game that captivated people who lived before writing was widespread can still be played today. But the royal game of wasn't the only prehistoric board game. Across Africa, ancient versions of mancala have been discovered, with rows of cup-like depressions carved into stone or wood. These games involve distributing pebbles or seeds across the cups according to specific rules, a mathematical exercise disguised as entertainment. Some of these game boards date back as far as 7,000 years. These ancient games weren't just about fun, they served crucial social functions. In many prehistoric communities, games of strategy became a peaceful alternative to physical conflict. Instead of resolving a dispute through fighting, opponents could battle it out on the game board. The winner would earn not just bragging rights, but sometimes tangible rewards or the resolution of the conflict in their favor. Imagine two tribal leaders, in disagreement over hunting territories, sitting down to settle their dispute over a game of strategy rather than through bloodshed. Strategy games also served as powerful teaching tools. Young members of the tribe would learn important life lessons: patience, forward thinking, understanding consequences, and adapting to changing circumstances. A child who mastered these games was simultaneously developing the mental skills needed to become a successful hunter, gatherer, or tribal leader. Perhaps most intriguing is how these prehistoric games reveal the universality of human thinking. Across continents and separated by vast distances, early human societies independently developed remarkably similar board games. This suggests something fundamental about how our brains work. We're naturally drawn to create systems of rules, to compete, to strategize, and to find joy in mental challenges. Did you know that the first game boards were created in prehistoric times? If you're enjoying this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel for more incredible stories. And tell us in the comments, what would your favorite prehistoric game be? Would you prefer a hunting skills game, or would you rather settle in for a strategic battle of wits on a stone game board? Have you ever watched a child playing with a doll, completely absorbed in their imaginary world? This same scene played out thousands of years ago in prehistoric societies, though the toys looked quite different from what we see today. Imagine a young girl sitting by a fire, carefully cradling a clay figurine shaped like a mother holding a baby. These clay dolls were incredibly common in prehistoric communities, and archaeological discoveries have shown us just how detailed and thoughtful their creation was. Some of these figurines, dating back more than 15,000 years, show remarkable attention to detail: tiny fingers, facial features, and even clothing patterns carefully etched into the clay. But these weren't just toys for entertainment. They were sophisticated teaching tools that helped prepare children for their future roles in society. When young girls played with mother and child dolls, they were actually rehearsing the caregiving skills they would need later in life. They would feed their dolls, put them to sleep, carry them in miniature slings, all actions they observed their own mothers performing with real babies. Boys, on the other hand, often played with miniature versions of adult tools and weapons. Archaeologists have uncovered tiny spears, axes, and hunting tools perfectly scaled down for small hands. These weren't crude toys. They were carefully crafted replicas that allowed young boys to practice the movements and skills they would need as hunters and craftsmen. Here's something fascinating. In some prehistoric burial sites, archaeologists have found children laid to rest with their favorite toys. In one particularly touching discovery in what is now France, they found the remains of a young girl from 12,000 years ago, buried with a collection of carefully crafted clay dolls. Each doll showed signs of extensive play, smooth spots where tiny fingers had held them countless times, suggesting these toys were deeply treasured possessions. These symbolic toys did more than teach practical skills. They helped children understand their place in the community and the roles they would eventually fill. Through play, they learned the complex social structures, traditions, and responsibilities that kept their societies functioning. A child playing with a miniature grinding stone wasn't just having fun. They were connecting with thousands of years of cultural heritage and preparing for their future role in keeping their community fed and healthy. The sophistication of these prehistoric toys challenges our modern assumptions about early human societies. The care and detail put into creating these playthings shows that our ancestors understood something profound about child development, that play is not just entertainment, but a crucial tool for learning and growth. Next time you see children playing with dolls or toy tools, remember, they're participating in a tradition that stretches back to the very dawn of human society, connecting them to countless generations of children who learned about their world through the power of imaginative play. Picture this: a warm summer evening, 20,000 years ago. Two groups of people stand facing each other, gripping opposite ends of a thick rope made from twisted vines or animal hide. The air is filled with excitement as both teams prepare to engage in one of humanity's oldest team sports, what we now know as tug-of-war. These ancient team games were far more than just entertainment. They were crucial training grounds for survival skills and powerful tools for building community bonds. Archaeological evidence suggests that team games were practiced across virtually every prehistoric society, from the frozen tundras of the north to the scorching deserts of Africa. The ancient version of tug-of-war was particularly fascinating. Cave paintings discovered in various parts of the world show groups of people engaged in what appears to be this primal contest of strength and teamwork. But here's what makes it even more interesting. Many of these paintings show the game being played during what seem to be important ceremonial gatherings, suggesting it held deep cultural significance. These team competitions served multiple purposes in prehistoric societies. When young hunters needed to learn how to coordinate their movements during a dangerous hunt, team games taught them the vital skills of timing and cooperation. When different family groups needed to strengthen their alliances, these games provided a peaceful way to build relationships and trust. One of the most remarkable discoveries comes from an ancient settlement in what is now Turkey, dating back 12,000 years. Archaeologists found a large, flattened area with distinctive wear patterns in the soil, suggesting it was regularly used for group activities. Alongside this space, they found carved stone markers that may have been used to organize teams or keep score during games. Think about how these games might have played out. During a tug-of-war match, teams would have needed to learn to pull in perfect unison, to respond to each other's movements, and to trust in their collective strength. The same skills would have been essential when working together to move heavy stones for building, or when coordinating hunting strategies against dangerous prey. What's particularly fascinating is how these games often transcended age and gender boundaries. Cave art shows men, women, and children all participating together, something quite revolutionary for its time. This suggests that prehistoric societies understood something profound about human nature, that working together made them stronger as a community. These team games also played a crucial role in conflict resolution. Rather than resorting to violence, competing groups would often settle their differences through organized competitions. Imagine two rival tribes, instead of fighting over hunting territories, engaging in an intense tug-of-war match to resolve their dispute. The legacy of these prehistoric team games lives on today. Every time we see children playing team sports or adults engaging in group activities, we're witnessing the continuation of a tradition that began thousands of years ago, when our ancestors first discovered that by working together, they could achieve things that no individual could accomplish alone. So the next time you participate in a team sport or watch a group game, remember, you're taking part in one of humanity's oldest and most important traditions, one that helped shape the very foundations of human society. The beautiful thing about these ancient team games is that they remind us of a simple but powerful truth. Humans are at their best when they work together. Whether it was 20,000 years ago or today, the fundamental principles remain the same. Cooperation, trust, and unity are the keys to success. The next time you pick up a game controller or watch the Olympics, take a moment to think about this. You're participating in a story that began more than 20,000 years ago, when our ancestors first discovered the power of play. What's truly remarkable about prehistoric games and toys isn't just their ingenuity, it's how their fundamental principles have endured through time. That simple stone-throwing game, practiced by prehistoric hunters, it evolved into the javelin throw and shot put we see at the Olympics today. The strategic board games carved into cave floors, they laid the groundwork for everything from chess to modern strategy video games. Here's something fascinating. Archaeologists recently discovered a prehistoric game board in Bulgaria that bears an uncanny resemblance to modern-day parcheesi. The board, dating back 7,000 years, shows how some game concepts are so fundamentally appealing to human nature that they've survived virtually unchanged for millennia. But perhaps the most powerful legacy of prehistoric play isn't in the specific games themselves, but in what they reveal about human nature. When we look at children today, playing make-believe with their toys, they're engaging in the same kind of imaginative play that prehistoric children did with their clay figures and carved animals. The technology has changed, but the basic human need to play, learn, and connect remains exactly the same. Think about this. Prehistoric communities used games to teach hunting skills. Today, military organizations use video game simulations to train soldiers. Ancient tribes used board games to develop strategic thinking. Modern schools use educational games to teach problem solving. The methods have evolved, but the core principle remains. Play is one of humanity's most powerful tools for learning and development. Some of the most popular video games today unknowingly mirror prehistoric gaming principles. When players in Minecraft gather resources and craft tools, they're essentially recreating the same skills our ancestors learned through their own games. When teams coordinate in online multiplayer games, they're tapping into the same cooperative principles that prehistoric hunters learned in their group games. The social aspect of gaming has also stood the test of time. Just as prehistoric people gathered around a game board to strengthen community bonds, today's online gamers form worldwide communities and friendships through their shared love of play. The platforms have changed dramatically, but the human desire to connect through play remains constant. What's particularly touching is how these ancient games continue to pop up in unexpected places. Traditional children's games like hopscotch, marbles, and tag all have roots tracing back to prehistoric times. Every time a child draws a hopscotch grid on a sidewalk, they're unknowingly recreating a pattern that children have been playing with for thousands of years. But perhaps the most important legacy of prehistoric games is what they tell us about ourselves as a species. Despite facing daily struggles for survival, our ancestors still made time for play. They understood, perhaps instinctively, that play wasn't just a luxury. It was essential for learning, bonding, and maintaining mental well-being. This legacy reminds us that play isn't frivolous or unimportant. It's a fundamental part of what makes us human. From the simplest prehistoric toys to the most sophisticated modern games, play has always been one of humanity's most powerful tools for learning, connecting, and understanding our world. So the next time someone tells you that you're wasting time playing games, remind them that you're participating in one of humanity's oldest and most important traditions. Whether it's a simple game of catch or the latest video game, you're connecting with a legacy that stretches back to the very dawn of human civilization. After all, if our ancestors could make time for play while dealing with the challenges of prehistoric life, surely we can appreciate the value of games in our modern world. Their legacy teaches us that play isn't just about having fun, it's about being human. As we come to the end of our journey through prehistoric play, one thing becomes crystal clear. Despite living in a world we can barely imagine, our ancient ancestors weren't so different from us after all. They shared the same fundamental needs that drive us today: to learn, to have fun, and to connect with others. Think about it. 20,000 years ago, a child sitting by a fire, playing with carved figurines, felt the same joy and excitement that children today feel when playing with their favorite toys. A group of prehistoric hunters, celebrating after a game of stone throwing, experienced the same thrill of victory that we feel after winning a modern sports match. Can you imagine yourself transported back to those ancient times? What games would you choose to play? Would you try your luck at one of those strategic board games carved into stone? Or perhaps you'd join a team game, working together with your prehistoric companions to achieve a common goal? The story of prehistoric games and toys isn't just about the past. It's a window into the very essence of human nature. It shows us that no matter how much technology changes, no matter how different our world becomes, some things remain constant: our need to play, to learn, and to connect with each other. So the next time you pick up a game controller, throw a ball, or play a board game, remember, you're not just having fun, you're participating in one of humanity's oldest and most meaningful traditions, one that stretches back to the very dawn of human civilization. And speaking of connections across time, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What prehistoric game would you most want to try? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this journey through prehistoric play, don't forget to like this video and share it with friends who might find it fascinating too. Want to explore more incredible stories about our ancient ancestors? Subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel and hit that notification bell. We have amazing upcoming episodes about prehistoric art, ancient innovations, and the fascinating mysteries of early human civilization. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through time. Until our next adventure into the ancient past, remember, whether it's 20,000 years ago or today, play isn't just about having fun. It's about being human. See you in our next video, where we'll uncover more fascinating secrets from humanity's distant past.